this is a section that turned up on a baffle. Now, it needs to be said here that this baffle section here we made a claim against a baffle that failed, the one that you would have seen on an earlier video. Now, to Dr. Frank Brenner's credit, he did send us another baffle free of charge to replace that baffle that essentially broke right through this section here, where there was very, very minimal amounts of material. And I have to believe that a lot of that may well have happened due to the fact that they were sitting in these two boxes here, just floating around. They were not in a piece of foam like this. This maybe is a lesson learnt. Maybe they've had some issues in the past with damaged panels in their flat packs, and they've now decided to put the baffles in their own, encasing them in foam, which I think is a great idea. It's a shame it wasn't done in the original packaging. This box and was essentially all this had in it was the replacement baffle. The original baffle, or two of them in the kit, were floating around in these two boxes that we've already gone through. So it was very, very well packed. There was only a baffle in here, in that whole, in the size of that box. There was just one replacement baffle. And if we head over here and have a look, this is sort of one of the boxes that the drivers arrived in. So I mean, they were adequately packed, no problems there. There were no damage to the drivers. That's the lower mid-range. This would be the upper mid-range. Tweeters were all wrapped up in this foam, which was pretty good. And there's adequate amounts of foam and what have you here, and another lower mid-range. So there were your two upper mid-ranges, the two lower mid-ranges here, and adequately wrapped up in this foam sheeting. And all of the drivers were as you see them in a couple of boxes, very similar to that box there. So that really gives you an idea of how the boxes arrived here. Certainly the flat pack timber boxes were under par as far as I'm concerned in the way they were packed together, especially coming all the way around to Australia from Germany, which is literally across the other side of the world. And there was some damage, and I suspect that may have been a possible issue as to why the upper baffle had broken. It must have had a knock. There were some small chips in the veneers on the baffles, so I imagine them crashing into each other and into other hard surfaces in the box of timber. That may have caused some weakening, although I think it possibly could be a combination of that and probably, and this is no fault of Dr. Frank Brenner, probably a defect in the HDF, in the manufacturing of the HDF. I would suspect it may well have been a combination of the two, but it certainly failed on us, and rather spectacularly, as you saw in the other video. So that just gives you an idea, and it gives you my thoughts about how this flat pack came to us and arrived here, and I'd have to say not really up to par as far as I am concerned, in relation to mainly the flat pack sections, the timber sections to build the bridge and the base units, and of course the baffle. But anyway, the speakers were certainly over there, were adequately packed, and the second baffle that arrived was brilliantly packed. So a bit of a neutral mark there for me. Some things not up to scratch, other things very much up to scratch. But anyway, that probably concludes talking about the boxes. Stay tuned, because we'll talk very soon about the building of the base unit next.